headed back out to the Detroit Lake, Mount Jefferson area again, this time with two of the other Bronco boys, Will and Mike. We met up in the town of Detroit again, and this time we were across the rivers from the last time when I was at Hoover Ridge, and went up and explored Hall Ridge. From there, we went back out towards Olallie Lake, but I had found a hidden or less well-known series of cascading waterfalls along the way. Then back up past Breitenbush Lake, Olallie Lake, and then up towards Mount Hood. And there I spent the night by myself up there along Bennett Pass and enjoyed the scenery. The next day I wandered around Clear Lake for a little while before heading back home. We started our morning on National Forest Road 2223, which apparently had just recently opened. There was a tremendous amount of damage as we climbed into the forest from the fires several years ago. This road is also known as French Creek Road for a while, and then it turns into Halls Ridge Road. We followed this along and passed the trailhead down to Tumble Lake and Tumble Falls, up past Knutson Saddle, and further around past Whitman Rock, past Hall Ridge, where the radio towers had been replaced since the fire. From here we had a great view of Detroit Lake, the town of Detroit, and the entire surrounding area. Hall Ridge is about 4,500 feet. From here we could see far into the distance and see Mount Jefferson, and it's pretty hazy here from the flat fire on the other side of Mount Jefferson. From here we could see across the valley to Dome Rock, which is a popular hiking area, and to its right, Needle Rock. It was a short hike back to the Broncos and back down into the town of Detroit, headed for our next destination. We got into Detroit and took Forest Road 46 along Breitenbush River out to the Bald Butte trailhead, and then onto Skyline Road, otherwise known as Forest Road 4220, towards Olallie Lake. This road had been slightly improved since I'd been here a couple weeks ago. There was some fresh gravel in some areas, starting to look pretty nice. About 3.5 miles in, we stopped at a pull-out area, and that happened to be the trailhead down to Breitenbush Cascades. Breitenbush Cascades are a multi-tiered waterfall system over 1,000 feet in height, making them one of Oregon's tallest waterfalls. The first tier is about 30 to 40 feet, and the second one is about another 30 feet down, and it just keeps on going. It is quite impressive. Uh, the, the Cascades are sometimes known as Charlie Falls. There used to be apparently a sign saying Charlie's Falls, but that's gone since the fire. The trail down to the first two sets of falls is steep but not particularly treacherous. But past the second set of falls, it is a near vertical drop for at least 1,000 feet or more. I broke out the drone and decided to document these falls and cascades as best I can. From what I understand, it's probably never been well surveyed. There's some mixed information about this falls. I started at the first two levels and then kept on dropping straight down. Eventually, I ended up over 1,000 feet below where we were standing, and there was still more room to go, but I just had to turn around at that point. Coming back up the upper sections of the falls, you can just see how impressive the view is of all these waterfalls. The falls are partially fed by the North Fork of the Breitenbush River, which comes out of Breitenbush Lake, which is our next destination. We took a short hike out to the lake. Breitenbush Lake actually sits on the Warm Springs Reservation. We ran into Ken, who apparently used to be a caretaker at the campground, and one of Ken's dogs. Will's got a new friend. Hi, look at that tail going. Uh-oh, get the...
Got it. Nice.
Hopefully it wasn't a yellow jacket, was it?
Jack dog.
Hi. We continued up past Spoon Lake, past Horseshoe Lake, and all the way to Olallie Lake. Much like Don from the last trip, Will could not wait to jump into the lake. People have. We left the lake and headed north all the way to Mount Hood. Once we started hitting more paved roads, it was time to air up. And eventually the guys headed towards government camp to maybe for some pizza and some beer, and I headed to look for somewhere to camp for the night. The first couple of spots that I had scouted out on the map were blocked by downed trees, so I just had to keep on going. I did find several of these very passive-aggressive little flags stuck into extinguished fires by some rangers. It's a fire season around here, and fires are a big no-no. The next camp spot that I found was actually really nice, but we'll come back to that. I kept heading north on Bennett Pass, continuing to look for some campsites along the way. We had driven Bennett Pass a couple of years ago, and it was far rougher this time than I had remembered. We had taken the route out to Badger Lake, but this time I went further north on Bennett Pass. There are just some amazing views from this road. Bennett Pass sits on a ridge to the east of Mount Hood. Down below is Highway 35. I continued to the very end of Bennett Pass, came back on 35, and returned to the first camping spot that I had found earlier. It had just a great view of Mount Hood. It was nice and secluded just off of the main trail, and no one was there to bother me. Next morning I headed south and towards Clear Lake. Ended up wandering around some basically unmarked trails. It was kind of strange, but ended up having a little bit of fun on one of them. Captured here for your entertainment. I believe at the Bronco Off Rodeo, they called this the Bronco Wave. Then was back to Highway 26, up and over Mount Hood, and back into Portland, ready for my next adventure with the Bronco Boys.